I.The.Un.Realist, a simple man telling simple stories with a special perspective. I try to find something beautiful, unique in our rather mundane and grey life, trying to create colors that don't exist. So let's begin. Ticks and Trickles is a story about sports, playing, and how it is not just a physical skill, but in today's world, it is one of the most powerful things. It is an inspiration to not just many people, but generations of humanity. And the enablers of this great magic, our sports people, are not only people who can play, but are our ideals, pseudo leaders, and saints in some way that shape us mentally, define our characters. Don't worry, these are all the heavy words that I wanted to use. Now let us dive straight into our story, Ticks and Trickles. This is a story of an old chap, almost ready to die. He was living at his farmhouse alone after his wife's death. His only son was working in the city, living happily. That son of his had a daughter who was very close to her grandfather. All other days, this man would just feel like waiting for his time. But when she was there, he got to live a little more. It was one such day. He was sitting outside the house just looking at the sky when he heard a bike approaching the house. It was his granddaughter. She was alone. It was not her holidays, nor had her dad mentioned anything about her coming here on the call last night. She stopped the bike in front of the house, took her backpack, and went straight into one of the bedrooms. He waited for her to come out, but it was past dinner time now, and she had not come out. He wanted to take her plate to the room, but he was too old to do that. Instead, he called her to the dining room and waited there for a bit. If it was anyone else, she would have not come out, but she came out because it was her grandpa calling. He put food in her plate, filled his plate. Both sat there, ate quietly, and went to bed. She did not look at him, rather, just ate her food and went straight back. This went on for a couple of days. Two people just existing there with each other without any conversation, but just being there for each other, knowing that they have each other no matter what. Sometimes we just need the warmth and presence of that person that we know understands us, loves us, and just their presence is enough. They ate, had their tea together. She would take him on a walk, and then they would say goodnight and call it a day. This went on for some days. Slowly, she started smiling, talking to him. Meanwhile, Grandpa called his son and came to know that his little champ had failed to get into the state badminton team for 3 years in a row, and now she was no more eligible to play in the state team. So she would have to play private clubs, and from there, to get into national team was a very little chance. Or so what Grandpa got. Overall, he got the gist that she had been playing badminton since she was 10 and now she is 19. She did not know what to do next. Everyone and everything around her revolved around badminton, and her identity was that. But now she would have to take admission in some college, do some course, and hope that maybe someday she will get selected. She was out of the regular path that any sports person should take in order to play for the national team. There were chances, but equal to none. In all, everything had changed. Her father and grandpa both shared a good laugh over this, but ended the call with a big sigh. One day, his wristwatch stopped ticking. The second hand would just not move. He woke up early, went to the nearest town, bought cells, opened the whole watch, cleaned all the parts, reassembled them, put the batteries back. But the watch would not start working. Next day, when she woke up, he was already back again, trying to make the watch work. It was late that night, past their dinner time. She was really hungry. Dadu had not talked to her. They did not go on a walk, did not play carom. He was just stuck with that watch. He was trying to watch those little parts properly in the dim light. Frustrated, she just waltzed near him, took the watch and screwdriver, and shouted, I know, I understand what you are trying to do. You are trying to preach me. Make me realize that this life is like this watch. It stops sometime, but we have to keep at it. But even if we think watch is not working, time is still moving on, and that I must get back to my life and keep ticking. And someday all will come together, just like the parts of this watch, and time will be good again. But I don't need that. He just laughed, didn't even look at her. He kept looking at the watch and kept laughing. You young people think too much. This is just a watch and it is very dear to me. I am just trying to fix it. Usually, I have nothing to do, but it gave me something to do and I just got lost doing that. I was enjoying playing with it, that's all. How are humans your age? Trying to make sense of everything. I miss those days of mine. Well, now that you have distracted me, I am feeling hungry and it is already late. Let us eat. They both ate the food and went for a walk. They bought ice creams while returning. They sat outside, looking at the dark sky, enjoying their ice creams. It was pretty cold. They both felt a little shiver inside. It was all dark. It was past the bedtime, so most of the lights were off. You could see the whole sky in your eyesight at once. Look at those little dots going on and off infinitely. They sat there, slurping the ice cream, sweet cold creamy fluid softly touching their tongues. As soon as the ice cream touched the tongues, a small current would flow inside, followed by a sweet flavor that filled the whole mouth. Then, after a moment of sweetness, the cold, smooth fluid just rushed down the throat to the stomach, where it actually felt hot. Then the nose would make some noise, telling them it is not suited for the body. But the ice cream was melting, and your eyes just caught another string of cream rushing down the cone. So you hold it up to your mouth, and the shiver comes again, making that suckling noise. Both sat there in the dark, cold night, enjoying the sweet ice cream. After enjoying the ice cream for a bit, Grandpa spoke. Now that you have asked about the watch, I must tell you. It is a pretty special watch. I have had it for more than 40 years now. I don't give it to any mechanic because the parts are very small and old. It is a premium watch with silver and golden parts inside. It was the watch I bought from my own income. But there is a story behind it, rather similar to yours. I bought this watch after saving my salary for a year. After that, I got a promotion, got married to your grandmother, and in no time, she was due with your father. Everything seemed perfect, but then suddenly, my father died. Soon after that, I lost my job, and as the sole earner of my family, I had to start digging into my savings. Your grandma was in the last stage of pregnancy. My mother, whom I would always go to, was devastated by the passing of my father. Being a family man, working 10 hours a day, I had not any friend who was close enough to me that I could go to. I was a complete and happy man just some months back, and that day I felt like I had lost everything. Bringing a child into this world, jobless, lost my parents. Those days I did not feel like going home. I would search for a job the whole day and then sit at a small roadside restaurant till late night. It was one of those days. I was sitting there with a bunch of strangers. The India Pakistan Cricket World Cup match was on. Pakistan had put a good score batting first, and India had lost two early wickets. After that, the whole restaurant was quietly watching until the last two overs. India needed 16 runs in last 6 balls. If it would have been any other player, we would have given up. But it was Virat Kohli. Virat was the best batter India had produced in the last 15 years. He had scored 71 centuries and over 10,000 runs in his career, so everyone was excited. But in the last 3 years, he had scored only one century and he was out of form. He had to give up his captaincy position and was going through a rough patch, professionally and mentally. But today he had scored a half century where everyone else was struggling to get runs. If we put aside the last 3 years and only look at today, we knew he could take it home. And he did. He won that game for India. It was a great victory for the country and for him personally because he had not won a game for his team for almost 3 years. But none of that mattered to me, motivated me. The best player in the world, on the verge of getting forgotten, playing for a team with great history but not able to perform for last 4 5 years. A team and a man going through hard times, beating it with their intent and hard work. But none of that seemed to cheer me up. I sat there, watching those people, laughing, dancing, cheering, but I could not feel even a pinch of joy in me. But then, after running around the ground with his bat in the air for half a minute, Virat came to the center of the crease and removed his helmet. And then I saw his smile, a big baby smile running across his face, and those eyes filled with all the joy that was present in this world. He just kept smiling with those sparkling eyes. A multimillionaire, best player of cricket in the whole world, having multiple world records under his belt. But for the last couple of years, he was fighting for a spot in this team, and today he had won a game for them. He looked at his granddaughter, tried to make her look at what he was able to see. She seemed to be a bit confused, sad, worried, but not yet satisfied. Just like he was. He knew everything, yet he was not able to pull it up, not able to see that light, ray of hope. He was just as confused as she is today. He took a bit of his ice cream, took another. In that moment, when I saw the smile, I knew I was never going to be that happy. Because that joy was not because Kohli had broken records, was a multimillionaire, or was the greatest player in the world. That happiness was from a simple thought that he was doing what he wanted to do, and that he had put all his hard work for what he was best at and what he dreamt to be. There are more than 8 billion humans in this world, but only he can experience that kind of joy, and that is a power a human has when she does what she wants to do and puts all the hard work there. A very few people get such a chance in life, and that is the most important thing to have. That is where hope, perseverance, hard work, patience are all born from. And that's why I found myself in darkness. Not because all around me was going wrong, but because I had nothing with me to end that darkness. It is rare, and one that has it should not lose it. Not for any other thing, but because that is the only chance to be purely happy and feel it. And practically, no matter what you choose to do, you only have less than 1% chance to truly taste that joy. Every other moment is a failure for you before and after that. What a inning that was. Anyways, I have my watch since then. Let's get inside. I'm feeling cold. Grandpa got up and started walking inside. I could not move. I just sat there.